Hey now, it's Sharon, and I'm back to share part 2 on how I took racism out of my faith walk. If you're new to the channel, I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the U.S., and I was also in the military. I'm sharing my ideas, thoughts, and opinions on how to get racism out of your faith walk. And I did that during my policing career. I started anyway because I blew the whistle a couple of times, and the retaliation and the ostracism that I faced had me questioning my faith. What I believed in had me questioning my identity. And so going through that, it was a lonely place. And I share that in other videos. And I spent a lot of time in the firefighters' lunchroom. I talk about that in part 1. And how I started to study and read the Bible and the Apocrypha and different journals. And it just led me to from one thing to the other. And I talked about the pillars that uphold society and how the government weighed so much in my life at that time, and being a police officer. And so questioning my faith, of course, I went to the religious pillar because that was a big part of my life at the time. And I realized in studying and researching and questioning, I was taught half-truths and myths and a couple of lies in there. And so I set out to find the truth, if you will. And so digging into the religious pillar and reading the Bible and some of the revelations that I got, I share that in my book. Oh, here's my book. Look. Can you see it? Yep. My Middle Eastern Conflict, Looking Back at My Future. Now take a look at the book. Middle Eastern Conflict has to do with that stick figure. And I talk about some of the revelations that I received, and I share that in the book. And going back to questioning my faith, I had to deconstruct. I had to start deconstructing from the lies and the myths and the half-truths that I believed in my religious walk, to finding out the truth. The truth is important in your faith walk. And so I talk about that. I shared that in the last video about one of the religious things with the image of Christ and him being a white man. And he looks like the people that oppressed my people. And that's supposed to be my Lord and Savior. And so I looked into it, I researched, and Christ had skin like me. And I talk about how I didn't see myself in the Bible. And then I started to see myself in the Bible, and how that helped keep my chin up, if you will. Like, it gave me a sense of hope, just knowing the truth. And not to hold it over anybody or say I'm better than anybody else, but just knowing the truth. You know, what I was taught. I had the white Jesus on my wall growing up. When I was younger, JFK, Martin Luther King, Christ. A lot of people had that. And to know that that wasn't true, or that wasn't, no, it just wasn't true. It wasn't true. I'm not even going to try to tone it down a little bit. It wasn't true. So that sent me on a quest to know more truth and get more revelation as I studied. And it helped with my identity. I shared that. And I share that in the book, that I'm a bloodline descendant of Hebrews, Israelites. I'm still figuring out what that means. A lot of people talk about how the Hebrews, the Israelites, the 12 tribes are starting to wake up. And it talks about that in prophecy in the Bible. I'm not going to get too much into that. But knowing the truth on where I come from, what my identity is, how I identify, it matters to me. It matters to me. It might not matter to anybody else, but it matters to me to know the truth and know where I come from, and how I had to deconstruct from, America. This is a really good country. It's a great country, but it just has to be honest. I don't think America has ever tried just being truthful and trying love in terms of educating its people, its population. Just educate truthfully. Just tell the truth. That's a hurdle we need to get over, and we need to have a conversation about. I, for one, I don't want any get back, if you will. Y'all need to be slaves now. No. I just want the truth to be told. That's all. That's all. You know how many brown little girls like me thought the way I did in terms of, I gave you the example, I went to the beach, stayed all day, thought I was going to turn black as, my hair ain't even black, my eyebrows, if you will, which you can see. I went in the mirror, looked in the mirror, I was the golden orange, brownish, reddish tint, hair brown because of the sun and what black meant at the time, just a truthful history. That's all I want. And there's probably other people that believe like I do, just a truthful history. And we need to try love, because even in my research with the Middle Eastern conflict as my title of the book, Looking Back at My Future, America has a Middle Eastern problem. And when I say Middle Eastern, not what's going on right now, that is a problem, but just the internal conflicts that go on inside of us, in that realm we call the heart. And like I said, see who all lives there. I talk about that in the book. And my issue with white men and that Jebusite spirit that was holed up on the land of my heart. Just to give you kind of like a spiritual visual aspect of some of the revelation that I got in this book. It talks about your heart. I was talking about my heart and how I had to go through the land of my heart and get some things out of there. That issue with white men, that bias, that downright just disgust with white men. And I'm not saying all white men. I'm talking about the white image of Christ, Caesar Borgia, and how I was told that's an image of my Lord and Savior. And that's not true. But again, a truthful history. America, try love. America, try just telling the truth on its history, so we can get past this. We're not going to get past it. We're not going to get past it if we don't have a truthful dialogue about it, and the truth inserted into our learning. Because, like I said, brown little girls like me, born here, born and raised, it would help greatly. It would help everybody greatly if we just knew the truth. When people get upset and angry, and when you bring up slavery, oh my gosh, or some people just feel maybe embarrassed or ashamed, that's a good thing. That means you have a heart. That means you feel something like, okay, something ain't right, but a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. But it means you have a heart. We can start there. You have a heart. But yeah, I just want to share that little bit. I went into the pillar of religion, and I had to deconstruct and get to the truth. And that's just going to take researching and studying and questioning your sources, if you will. Question your sources. See if they're reliable. See if they're peer-reviewed. All right. Oh, my book again. It's on lulu.com under the Religion and Spirituality tab. It's $15. And I share some of the revelations that I got from the Bible, and how it boils down to your heart, and it boils down to love. All right. I'll share more next week. Take a look at our online store. The link for that will be in the description. The link for the book will be in the description. Like, share, comment, and I'll be back next week. As is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.